Hello, my name is Craig Wilson with ZENworks Support. Today, we are going to be working with encrypted PowerShell files. We did some previous video on encoded, but this video is going to cover encrypted files. And so I broke the process down to a number of different steps and videos. So I have a temp directory, it's currently empty, and we're going to be doing a lot of work around temp so you can see what's happening. The first bundle I have, all it does is it creates a random generated password that we can use in other locations. So I'm just going to run this, and I'll go in here, and I see a couple of files, and out password.txt, it's just a randomly generated file. So every time I run it, I will get a different password. So let me sort of show you what we have here. Actions, install, launch. Let's see. No, let's see. Actions, install, launch. Okay, yeah. So the only important part is the make password script. The file removal just does some cleanup of the temp folder. So what I show you is clear, and it installs one file called folders.ps1 that we're going to use for some other things. So the key part here is just to make password, and all it does is it generates a random password that's 32 characters long and puts it into outpassword.txt. There is a variable called characters that lets you define what characters to use in this password. So feel free to add additional characters that I have not included or remove any that you want removed. So again, that's all that does. The first bundle puts a file down for me to use later called folders.ps1, and it generates a file that I can use, or it has a random password that I can use for other things. So, and we don't actually make use of that file directly. So the next one, we are going to set a registry key that actually has this password, and we'll use this in other examples. So what this does is there's just a registry edit action. The first thing it does, just for, I'm clearing this registry value so we know that we're actually setting it. So, and I use a run script, and I don't have to do a script for this, but I do because I do some other things that you might later on. So all this does is it just sets, it creates a secure reg key with a value of a random password that I had generated using this tool. So, and so now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to bring up reg edit. You'll notice there is no secure reg key. I'm going to go back to my ZCM window. I'm going to run secure reg key, and it now refresh, and there's now a registry key that actually has the password that I'm going to be using later. Now, clearly, this is not, you say, well, anyone can read that password. Yeah, we'll fix that later. So now, what I'm going to do, and this will be on my admin PC, so the admin is allowed to see the password, not a big deal. We're not going to push this out to other people. So now, I'm going to basically run another bundle that the admin can use on their PC. So what he's going to do is he's going to encrypt the PowerShell files that he wants to encrypt. So we're going to go here into temp, and this is the PowerShell script that he wants to encrypt. So he just runs the bundle. We go in here, and we'll look to see what we have. And the out is the results. So, so I'll do type out 3.enc, and this is the actual encrypted PowerShell bundle that we're going to have other people use. So now, but I also, what I did here is I'm also outputted some other things just so you know that what's used. Okay, so this is the password that was used. And this is also the unencrypted script. So actually what my bundle does is it reads the bundle and the password that it's going to use, and then it actually encrypts it and then into the out3.enc, and then it later decrypts out3.enc to the PS1 file, as well as re-exports the password. This way, you actually know that the de-encryption works, and you can sort of see that. So, yeah. And so the next thing we're going to do is I actually have a lockdown registry. This is something you're not going to run on the admin PC, but I'll show you here for purposes. This actually pushes out this password in the registry to the other devices. So when your other devices go ahead and run the bundle or try to run an encrypted PowerShell file, they'll have access to the password via the bundle, but the users won't have access, even administrators. So my local user is a administrator. So when I go down here, I go to secure reg, I don't see the value anymore, because what that bundle does is it goes in and sets, I go to permissions, and you can see that only the system account has access to this folder. So users, even administrators, don't have access to any of the values here. So now what we do here is I'm now going to go ahead and run this bundle. And I actually ran it as dynamic administrator. And so, and what you'll see, and so what this, in theory, this bundle will do is it'll make directories 1, 2, and 3. You'll notice there is no directories 1, 2, or 3 here. The subfolders were not created. That's because the script failed because it's running as a dynamic administrator. Dynamic administrator does not have access to the password. So now I'm going to go ahead and run this again. And I'm going to run this same bundle, but it's going to run as system. And now you see 1, 2, 3. So yeah, so and there are my folders. So let me go back into some of these bundles to sort of, so you can see what you have here. So again, secure reg set, all it does is there's just a registry edit action for on this PC that cleans up the secure reg set and then sets the variable. And again, this is not secured because this runs on the admin's PC, so that he actually can see it, select files, and encrypt them. And then, so we go back here, the third one, and what this does is this is just a, we're going to go in here. The first command, it just cleans up any existing out.3 files, just so we know what we're working with and that they're made fresh. Again, this just runs as the logged on user, and it's a somewhat simple script. It has a file dialog where the user can browse and select a file. And then it's going to go through and actually read the password to use from the registry. And this is one that the admin has set to use. And it goes through and basically just encrypts the file, creating the ENC file. One thing to note, if for whatever reason you use less than 32 characters in the password, we will, this will pass the pad it, or even remove any extra characters. So because the commands need it to be exactly 32 characters long for the AES encryption. But so long as you use my tool to create the password, it'll be 32 characters. But if you want to generate your own and put your own password in there, and that password is not exactly 32 characters, this will either trim or add characters to it to make sure it's 32 characters long. And then the next one, and this is the bundle that you'll push to end users' PCs, and it's like the other one. The first thing it does is it clears its secure reg key folder. That's optional, but the next thing it does is it goes through, it sets the value that you want set, which is this right here, and then this one actually has all the commands that goes in and sets permissions on that registry key so that only system can see it, and you will not be able to see it by with a user account or even an administrator. So, and next we go the 5 and 6. 5, these are the same. The only difference is for number, the file removal, it just it goes through and it deletes the one subdirectory. Just that way, for your testing, it's gone, and if it exists, you know that the script actually created it. And so we go in here, just a moment. So I put a run script. For this script, it's set to run as dynamic administrator. And I'm not going to look at the script itself because the script is identical in the next one. And for number 6, the only difference in these two bundles is the run script is set to run as system. So this system user can actually read the value and decrypt things. So basically it just goes through, it gets the password from key 01, and then it goes through and passes that to the commands to decrypt the file. It stores the contents of the file in decrypted content 2 and invokes it. And so, yep, and that's where it went through and made 1, 2, 3. So at this point, so what you've done is you've, as an administrator, you've created an encrypted file. No one can read it. It's basically meaningless junk. No, that's what they have. They have no idea what's in there. To read it, they actually need to have access to the values stored in here, which they don't have access to, even if they're a local administrator. So the only ones who can access that are the local, it's a system account. Now, in theory, if your users were a local administrator, they could give themselves rights, so that there is, a security there. But in general, most people on your devices probably should not be local administrators, or you've self-defeated the entire concept of security. Now, I do have one more example to show you that's similar. So what we have here, so I have a nearly identical script that instead of creating the folders 1, 2, 3, it's going to do A, B, C. So I'm just going to go ahead and run this. And you are going to deal with dir and cd-a, cd-b, cd-c. And so what this one does is this actually runs it runs it from a share. And I had some other videos showing how to run stuff from, basically what this does is, in essence, it's running that file. So what I'm going to go do now is go down to do a PIR 92.168.1.201/ZCM share, and you will see I don't have access to that share. So if I go to CD and so and this is that, and I have a copy of that file on my local PC just so I can show you. And so what this does is I have a folder on that share called codes that holds all the passwords. And here I tell it to get the code from the codes folder. And then it goes down. And later on, I tell it to read the file from the scripts folder. So I got the scripts in one folder, the codes in another. And you can use NTFS permissions, file share permissions, to ensure that the only one with access to these files would be the administrator or other secure locations. And again, that's demonstrated elsewhere, and also why I have them in different locations, because in theory, you could have one person popping in the scripts folder, and the scripts folder might be less secure because that content is encrypted. But then the codes password will be the codes folder will be the most secure because that's what you actually need to decrypt that. So basically, we go through, we read the encoded password from a secure share location that the users don't have access to, and then we read the encrypted file, and then we decrypt the file with the password, and there we go. So I've got two ways to work with encrypted PowerShell files. One where you push out the decryption password and you store it in the registry in a location that is hidden and can only be accessed by system processes. Or B, you can set up a share, restrict access to that share. That share could even be a standalone server. That way, even a domain admin could not access it. And then you set up a bundle that uses the credential vault to run the PowerShell script that reaches out and grabs the encoded files as well as encoded passwords from different locations, so they are never stored at the same place. Technically, you could even have them on different servers if you want. That wouldn't be a problem. And again, I hope you enjoyed this. And next time you have to run a PowerShell script that has super secret information, you can now encrypt it and keep all that nice and private. Thanks, and have a nice day.